Hello, I'm Jared from Jared Discord. Welcome to another deck profile. On this video, we're going to be doing probably one of my favorite archetypes of all time, Metaphys. So if you guys are excited for this, leave a like, maybe subscribe, and I hope you guys enjoy. So, going real quick, this is a pure Metaphys build. I have tried probably every possible Metaphys version you can do. I've tried a Nordic version of Metaphys. I have tried a Thunder Dragon version of Metaphys. I have tried a Nemesis Metaphys deck. But I feel like, personally, the pure version of Metaphys is the most efficient and the most consistent version of the archetype. So, let's just go in. I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions. I'm going to try to hopefully answer them throughout the video, so let's go. We'll go through the Metaphys monsters first. We have 2 copies of Metaphys Tyrant Dragon, which basically, if you stun it with the effect of a Metaphys monster, it's unaffected by traps and can attack twice. And you can shuffle back, if it's banned, you can shuffle back into your deck to summon a Metaphys monster. Really good for the Metaphys Daedalus plays, so it's overall good 2 of. It's the only one I don't max out on besides the Pendulum, which I'll get to momentarily, because its effect is good, but it does not actually help every time, and it tends to break more than the others, so that's my reasoning. Especially with Ace of Metaphys, I'd rather banish Nephthys or Daedalus rather than Tyrant Dragon. So that's my reasoning behind just playing 2. Onto that, we play 3 copies of Metaphys Nephthys. Basically, if it's summoned through a Metaphys monster, they all have that effect. I'm going to explain them just for the future because I won't just say their effects outright. But if it's summoned with a Metaphys monster, you can banish all set spell and trap cards, and you can shuffle back into your deck if it's banished the next standby phase to add a Metaphys monster. Or card, I'm sorry. 3 Metaphys Daedalus, Daddy Daedalus himself, the man, the myth, the legend. His effect when he's summoned is that he banishes all special summon monsters on the field. Fantastic effect. You just get rid of everything. And with Metaphys Decoy Dragon, it's a quick effect essentially whenever you get attacked like a battle trap, like a Mirror Force. And also, you can shuffle back in the deck to banish any Metaphys card from your deck except for Daedalus. I usually try to use, personally, I usually banish Metaphys Ascension, or at least the Metaphys Nephthys, because this deck has a lot of nuances, so it's very, very important to figure out like the best way to work with each individual card. Then we play the only real normal son of the deck, Metaphys Ragnarok. It's okay. I kind of wish they made like more level 4 or lower Metaphys monsters. Hell, maybe even just like a level 2 regular effect Metaphys monster work with a tuner, which I'll get to momentarily. Because Metaphys Ragnarok's okay, but it's sort of unstable. If it's summoned, you banish top 3 cards to your deck, and you gain 300 attack for every Metaphys card you banished. And then when it does battle damage, you get to special summon a like level 5 or higher Metaphys monster from your deck. But it gets banished from the next turn. So generally, you can attack, summon Metaphys Tyrant Dragon to try to push for more damage, especially if you have Honest with Ragnarok. Use Nephthys to try to get rid of all the opponent's back row, or use Daedalus to banish everything else. It's good. I just kind of wish that Ragnarok maybe on summon maybe did that. Summon a Metaphys, special summon Metaphys monster like level 5 or higher, because that makes this deck just from okay to insanely good. But that's not the effect we got. For the rest of the Metaphys monsters, we got Metaphys Decoy Dragon. It's a Pendulum monster. Its Pendulum effect and monster effect are essentially the same. But basically, you can if Metaphys monster or this monster in general gets targeted for an attack, you can banish it, especially on a Metaphys monster from your graveyard, or that is banished. Generally, it's going to be banished. And if it's a Pendulum monster, keep in mind though you can't get the effects of your Metaphys big guys like Daedalus, Ragnarok, or Tyrant Dragon. So keep that in mind. But so that's the other one we don't max out on because it's kind of useless to have 3 because you can only summon 1 per turn. So. That's it for the Metaphys monsters. On to the non-Metaphys monsters, we play 3 copies of Aloof Lupine. In my opinion, the much superior normal summon. When it's normal summon, you can banish a monster from your hand and banish a monster from your deck of the same type. So generally, you're just going to banish Wyrms. Although, don't ignore that you have Necrophase, and if you banish one Necrophase with Aloof Lupine, you can banish another. So that's generally what I try to use it for, try to get all the banishes. And if it gets destroyed, you can add a banished monster back to your hand. Fantastic, it's a good 3-0. I feel like personally it's more important most times than Ragnarok, but they both have their uses. I guess going into Necrophase for the segue, we have 3 copies of Necrophase. If it's normal summon, shuffle all banished cards back into the deck, get 100 for each. That effect's pretty good. But if it's banished, then each player banishes the top 5 cards of their deck. So you can either get this off of Golden Sarcophagus or use a Lupine bench top 10 cards. Hell, sometimes even top 15 cards. That fucks people up. Like, so there's so many cards that rely on like having like a specific combo of cards, and if it's gone, it's gone. It's not coming back. So that is actually, that can fucking annihilate someone. So definitely never forget about the whole Necrophase. I like to call it like a Necrophase lock. So very, very, very good for that. And then the last monster rather, we played 3 copies of Honest. I love Honest. I really, really wish Metaphys had like an in-archetype Honest, because we have Dimensional Fissure, we have Macrocosmos, as you guys can see. And those cards in conjunction with Honest do not work, because you cannot send Honest to the graveyard if the graveyard basically doesn't exist. So I really wish they had like a Metaphys monster that wasn't Honest. But again, you can't ask for everything. That's just my opinion. Honest is fine for what it is. You can use it to push for more damage with Ragnarok. You can actually, if you open with 2 or 3 and just get a random attack off, you can actually win the game. So pretty good. I'm sure you guys are probably wondering why I'm not playing any like what's the word, like Ash Blossom or anything. It's because usually you'll just banish it and it just kind of like sits there uselessly. So I mean, I'm not denying Ash Blossom and Seymour Hand Traps are useless. Obviously, in the side deck playing Nibiru and Dimension Shifter. I'm just saying, in this specific archetype, it's not very good to have them, because it just kind of gives you dead banishes, dead meals. Okay, that's it for the Metaphys monsters. We're going to the spells now. We have 3 copies of Plot Desires, draw 2, get banished 10, which again this deck is actually helpful. 1 Garden Sarcophagus. Please give me 2 more. I can make this deck work, because you can banish either your monsters, banish Metaphys Ascension for the instant search. It would be great if you had 3, but 1, it's whatever. If nothing else, you can banish Necrophase. We have 3 Pod Dualities. You know, you don't really expect something a lot in this deck, especially during your turn, so it literally just lets you look at the top 3 cards of your deck and then just go from there. We play 3 Ace of Metaphys. It's essentially an Upstart Goblin. You banish a Metaphys to draw a card, and then you get effects. During your turn, all monsters are on the field, they lose on their attacking events. Your opponent's turn, it switches their positions. Which actually, that's pretty relevant, because during your opponent's turn, if you have Decoy Dragon, Ace of Metaphys, and some random monster on the field, you can banish Decoy Dragon, summon some other Metaphys monster. All their monsters switch to defense mode, unless they're linked, of course. So that actually is pretty useful. Last 2 spells, we have Dimensional Fissure, which, I mean, any monster since the graveyard is banished. It goes hand in hand with Macrocosmos. And we have Metaphys Factor. It's the field spell. You don't really need it, but basically, you can summon the big guys without tributing, and you can't respond to it. That effect's actually pretty relevant. I just don't really see a need to play more than 1. So that's that for the spells. For the traps, we play 3 copies of Evenly Matched, just in case you go second, and it's very, very efficient to have that. I even side Lightning Storm because of that. Nothing really more needs to be said, just breaks fields. Just get rid of your opponent's field. 3 Metaphys Ascension, it's just a search card. You can use the first effect, yeah, sure, but like generally you just want to use the second effect, just to get the search out. 3 Trap Tricks, that's mainly what you use with Metaphys Ascension. You banish Metaphys Ascension, set a second one, get the effect of the first one off, and then next turn you can activate your Metaphys Ascension and get the other effect. So that's actually a pretty cool combo. Not super consistent, but it's something. And then for our last trap card, we have Trap Trick, which I already explained. And then we have Macrocosmos, which banishes everything. So that's the main deck. We're going to the extra deck real quick. We have Geomathematic Final Sigma. Remarkably easy to summon this deck, actually, because you can literally have Nephthys, Tyrant Dragon, or Ragnarok, any of the level 8s, and then Ragnarok is just synchro into it. We have Draco Berserker the Tinyi. One of my favorite synchros, it just takes any of the level 4s, so like Ragnarok and Lupine, or Ragnarok Necrophase, Ragnarok Honest, etc. It's really good. He's really badass. You got Angel of Zera. Not the best, but I mean, you can work with him with Net Daedalus because it banishes everything, but then he comes back, and he gets stronger for it. We have Geomathematic Magma. When he destroys monsters, destroys 2 more cards. That's just good. We have Shiranui Squire Saga. Basically, you can like banish a face-up monster you control in your graveyard. That's the only part of that you need to know about, because like, yes, technically it has other effects, but like again, you don't even really like have the means to summon it naturally anyway. It's just there. You know what I'm saying? We have Metaphys Horus, which that card is great. It's fun. I used to not like it, but like you get the second two effects off on the field when you use Daedalus and when you summon Ragnarok and Decoy Dragon. So you can negate a card on the field and then take control of the monster. Your opponent gets to choose, but usually if they have one monster, you get to take the best monster and just kill them with it. It's great. And in conjunction with that, you can combine that with Jesus Christ, Damper Vampire Sheridan. He's level 6, Horus is. You take the monster, whatever the fuck it is, it's level 6. It becomes level 6. And then some Damper Vampire Sheridan, then just there you go. That's a cool combo. We have the Utopia package. Obviously, some Utopia, the lightning, and just hit your opponent with a big ass Exceed. Baguska, one of my favorite Exceeds of the entire game. It stops everything. It's like, we'll play when I feel like it. I love that. Evilswarm Exciton Knight, if in desperation, nuke the field. Topologic Zeroboros, he's almost meant for this deck. And yes, I have lost games with him, but I've also won games with him. So he's kind of he's a give and take. But I mean, generally, how to put this? There are a very scant few archetypes that are just like an OTK that just like kill them in like one turn. Especially like in a late game. Like usually, if they can kill you going second, they usually have that stuff. But in a long term game, no. And Zeroboros is for the long term, so just for that reason, you can just banish the entire field, bring them back even stronger and OTK your opponent. Trisbania. Not only do you have the whole banish your opponent's back row, you also have the effect of Ascension with it. So there's a lot of synergy there. I think you get to do some odd burn damage if you need to close out a game. And then we have Nightmare Unicorn. Just he's there. He gets rid of problem cards. Side deck we have Nibiru. He's Nibiru. Dimension Shifter. Basically turns the world into Dimensional Fisher for one turn. Inspector Border, I just like using it to fuck with people sometimes. You can win games just with that. Lightning Storm, come on. And Solemn Strike. You can side in these three cards, like Inspector Border, Lightning Storm, and Solemn Strike, and just fucking ruin someone. Solemn Strike is probably one of the cards I may would actually replace with Alien Match, but like I've had much more success with Alien Match. And that's the deck. I'll do like one test hand. It's not a deck that you really need to see the specific plays, because it's more like you play the deck over time, and the banishing mechanic and how you interact with the cards becomes easier to as you play. It's a very skill based deck because it has a lot of stuff and it seems kind of disjointed almost, but as you play it, you'll learn generally what it does. So that's my deck profile of Metaphys. If you guys have any comments, or especially if you guys have any ways to improve this deck, put it in the comment section below. I'd love to hear it. I know I'm not playing stuff like Dimension or Executor, but I mean, this is probably, those cards don't really work in the deck I wanted to build with it. But I understand you don't want to play those. Just, if you guys have any tips, I'd really appreciate it. Otherwise, I'm Jared from Jared Discord. I hope you guys have a great day.